This podcast contains strong language and discussion on suicide. Viewer discretion is advised. Coming up in today's podcast.
I'm just
upset. Let's hold up here. He pounced on you and tried to strangle you?
He himself was really drunk and came into my room and then brought another brother from London into my room they were both working for Unispace at that time. But Anthony Hazell sat on the bed next to mine, and Benji Tiso, he held me down onto my bed and was like, "You just need to confess, you just need to get it off your chest. Why can't you do it? Why can't you tell us what you've done?" And the more angry he got, the more his hands went around my throat. And that's how sick this whole system is. They're not there to care for you. All they care about is ticking the boxes of leader. Bruce tells them, do this, do this, do this. All they do is check those boxes. Okay, we're doing what's right because he told us to do it. Fucking take care of your children. Why do you bring children into this life? If you're not prepared to stand by them and support them through life, whatever happens, why would you bring children into this life if you're not going to do that? And she just said, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I can't tell you, Mum." And not even being able to tell your own mother the reason why you want to take your own life is just the worst feeling ever, because all she's going to do is reject you anyway. These are not the people I need to leave. Otherwise, I will die. I will end up dead.
Yeah.
And then I left. And my dad had the nerve to send me an email and tell me I'd be better off dead than out in that world committing sin.
Welcome to the Get a Life podcast. Explore survivor stories. Uncover the hidden truths. Join our X-Cult conversations. You matter, and so does your story. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Get a Life podcast. I'm Cheryl Hope from Maple Creek, Saskatchewan, and with me today is Andrea Becker from Germany. Our very special guest today is Dawson, joining us all the way from Zurich, Switzerland. Welcome, guys. It's so great to see you both.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for having me on the podcast. It's great to be part of it.
We are all former members of the Exclusive Brethren, now known as the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, or PBCC for short. And yes, they did originally call themselves the Exclusive Brethren. We have proof in many forums until they lost their charitable status and decided to rebrand themselves as this so-called mainstream Christian church. Today, we're here to chat with Dawson about his personal experiences growing up and breaking free from this cult. Dawson's story sheds light on what life inside the Brethren really looked like. The control, the fear, and the impossible choices so many of us were forced to make. We'll talk about what led him to finally walking away, how that decision changed his life, and what recovery and rebuilding have looked like since leaving. I'm going to hand this over to you now, Dawson, and let's just start off with what life inside the PBCC looked like for you.
Thanks, Cheryl. Well, it's a difficult question to answer in just a few words, but the best way I could describe it is just as a very, very controlling cult. The PBCC checks all the boxes of what a cult is, and the way they control their members and brainwashing them is just out of this world. It's looking back on my life in the PBCC. I am shocked on a daily basis of different things that you have on a daily basis that is just, overwhelming to think of of the control they had over you. And when I often think about the members that are still part of it and how they don't see through that, it's mind-blowing. You stand on the other side of the bubble in that sense, and you look back on everyone in there and you're just like, oh my God, they don't see through that. But they're so brainwashed, they're so controlled, and the way you think about certain things in the PBCC is it's all controlled. You're not allowed to have your own opinion on various topics. You're not allowed to speak up on certain things that you maybe don't agree with, or you question, or you don't quite understand. You don't ask questions. You're not allowed to ask questions.
And yet to you, that was how you were raised from day one, from birth. Like that to you, you thought that was normal, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I always had, I would say, after at a very young age, 12, 13, I remember thinking, having these thoughts that maybe, everything that happens in the cult is just pretend. That all these grown men that sit on the front row are just pretending. And I think that was the first time in my life that I started doubting the whole setup, the whole system that they have. And the more I went through life, and you become a teenager, you start experimenting on certain things or wanting to do things differently. And the way I was collapsed back into my box very quickly just made me doubt it even more. I was like, this isn't right. You can't be an innocent child, an innocent teenager who has no idea in life and already start to realize that this is not quite, this just doesn't feel right. This isn't what life is supposed to be like.
Like a gut
And
feeling.
Absolutely, absolutely.
and how old do you think you were when you started like thinking that they were playing pretend?
I would say around 13, 14,
Mm-hmm.
very young. Because, and you also have to understand, like the locality I came from, Zurich, is very small. We had under 100 members in our church. I was the only one in my age group. I was the only boy in my class at school in the one school global. And you see all the different localities and how they function and how they work, and it's different from the way your locality works. So that already was a point for me to be like, well, how come they can do those kind of things in that locality, but in this locality we can't do those kind of things?
Like give us an example for the listeners, what kind of things that would be. So for maybe people who wouldn't understand what you're
For
talking
example,
about.
I was thinking of one example. I think it's called the Northern Talents, um, where Germany and Sweden and Denmark teamed up to um, produce a movie on singing in a choir in various places in Europe, right? And I think all of the young people from a certain age up, all the single young people from a certain age up, were included in this choir in this film. And we from Zurich weren't allowed to be part of it. And when we asked why we weren't allowed to join, we were told to not ask questions and that it was the guidance from the man of God. And, we interchanged with Germany. We did school with Germany. We did a lot of stuff with Germany. We speak the same language. And it just didn't feel right to be excluded from that kind of project. It was like, well, why can't we be part of it? We're part of the same as community. We're part of the same. We do a lot together. Why does he exclude us? And later on, we were told it was because we had certain matters to clear in our community, in our locality, which needed to focus on. Whereas I was like, well, you want to include your young people, you want to keep your young people in your community, then why are you not including them in this? We don't have anything to do with the matters of the older brethren.
Yeah. Wow. It is
Yeah,
so
I never knew that
hypocritical.
because especially that would have been amazing for you guys, especially being such an isolated meeting, for you kids to be included in something with all the surrounding countries and your friends from Germany that you would know from school and stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it just came across as this. It gave me this feeling as if we didn't matter, that we were just so remote and isolated that no one really cared about us. And,
Wow.
being in such an isolated and remote place, I've spent all my years studying at one school global via video conference, traveling to UK, traveling to Hamburg, Sotherbach school, and the Netherlands, and just not included in anything, made to live this life where you're not allowed to do anything. You have so many rules. You can barely leave the house. You're not allowed to go out with the few young people that you do have in your locality, which were mainly girls. So of course that was a huge problem. And you just didn't have a life. Didn't have a life to live. All they focused you on was being successful at work, making a lot of money, buying a house which was going to cost between 1 and 1.5 million, getting married at 22, 23, having kids, and that's it. There's nothing else they can offer you. They have
did you want that lifestyle? Did you want that lifestyle?
Not. Absolutely not. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to follow my dreams. I've started a singing career. All these things that I'm now doing that I could never have done before. And I would choose that any day over living in that awful cult. It was terrible. And it nearly drove me to suicide. I mean, it did drive me to suicide. And even at that point in life, just shortly before I left it, no one was really interested. No one was really interested as to how you were doing, because you have to follow the rules. You have to keep your mouth shut. Just keep going. It'll all be fine.
This is one of the biggest things that the teenagers have an issue with in there. Like, my plate is so full of teenagers at this point in time. And every single one of those teenagers' main point that they get across to me is that we cannot handle the double standards. We can't handle when one locality gets to do something and another locality that could be beside them doesn't get to do it, right? It's this utter cognitive dissonance of how do we make sense of this? They just simply can't make sense of it. And it is, for my own personal story, that was hard for me. That was so hard for me when, as a teenager, when somebody got to do it in the same locality as you, yet you weren't allowed to do it. And so I completely and utterly relate to what you're saying, Dawson. And it still is going on to this day, because that's the main complaint I get from inside, especially the teenagers from inside there. So how many years have you been out?
I left in December 2021. Just before my 22nd birthday. So it's been...
Oh, wow. So you're just new too.
Years. Yeah.
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 And were you ever asked if you were okay?
Yeah, I was asked if I was okay. But I don't know, I'd come out to my priest at 17 years old as being homosexual. And I was told to shut up very quickly and never say that word again in their house. So whenever they asked me whether I was okay, I just said, yeah, I'm fine. Because I knew that wasn't really a topic I could talk to them about. I've been told not to say that word ever again. So how do you expect me to explain that I'm not okay if you don't want to hear what I've got to say?
Yeah. And I think that's what I want to ask, is that you can ask someone, are you okay? But are you holding this space for that person to actually express how they really are feeling? That is the big thing. And I guess I'm just falling back on their RRT, are you okay days that they have. And I think one of the most hypocritical things is when they come along and say, well, we do ask our members if they're okay. But you can utter those words, but do you offer the platform for that teenager to actually express what they really need to express? So I guess that's kind of what I'm asking you. Did you feel like you had the platform or the space to be able to really tell them how much you were really struggling?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There was one or two members who were good friends of mine. And we had to kind of talk in secret because she was a married sister, and there was speculation that we were having an affair. Whatever. She was the only person who really did care, and she wanted me to talk about, the things I was struggling with, but I couldn't. And I told her she would understand one day, because I knew I was going to leave at some point, and it would all come to light, the reasons why I was struggling. But there was never a platform to really, to really open up, because they would either confine you for having those thoughts or tell you that you're possessed by the devil and you need to get right.
Yeah.
And in that moment, Dawson, like if say you would have felt brave enough to confess something to your friend, the risk is so great, not only for you, but for her, because now you're confiding in her. So she's got to carry that secret that you're telling her. And
Absolutely.
whether or not she may have wanted to help you, I always feel like from my experience as well in the Brethren, even when you cry out for help and you really do actually break through and tell someone how you feel, it's all the talk. We want to help you. We wish you could do something for you. And the
Yeah.
hands are tied behind the back and they don't
Yeah.
actually know what to do for you. And so thus they don't do anything for you.
Yeah, they make you confess. They tell you. I remember I had a brother. It was this one evening where I was really upset because we had an alcoholic case in our family, and I was really upset that one night. And there was this one brother who insisted on being my priest and always tried to get involved in my cases, so to say, and came and found me in my bedroom, and I was crying because I was upset, and he pounced on me and started to strangle me because he was saying the reason I was upset was because I was under sin. I had this burden of sin on my shoulders, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like I'm just
Okay, let's
upset.
hold up here. He he pounced on you and tried to strangle you?
He himself was really drunk and came into my room and then brought another brother from London into my room who's they were both working for Unispace at that time.
Okay,
Okay.
so can you who was it that jumped on you? Are you can you say so these people were like posing as priests? Is like these were your priests that night?
Apparently,
And
so
they
they
came into your bedroom,
came into my
pounced
bedroom.
on you.
But Anthony Hazell sat on the bed next to mine, and Benji Tiso, he like held me down onto my bed and was like, "You just need to confess. You just need to get it off your chest. Why can't you do it? Why can't you tell us what you've done?" And the more angry he got, the more his hands went around my throat until I was
I
screaming. And I was yelling at him to fuck off, get the fuck away from me. My dad was outside my bedroom door and didn't come in to see what was happening.
this is Anthony Hazel we're talking about.
But Anthony Hazell was sitting on the bed watching, and Benji Tiso was on top of me.
I just want to remind everybody who Anthony Hazel is. He is the owner of Unispace Global, along with Gareth Hales. They lobbied the cabinet minister Michael Gove and won the biggest VIP lane PPE contract worth 680 million UK pounds. That was controlled by Hales and Hazel. And the link you see to the article on your screen will be below in the description. Make sure you read it.
And Benji Tiso is bigger than you, correct? Like he would be able
Oh
to
yeah,
overpower you easily.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
big and muscly, and
And your dad knew that they were in there with you? Did he know what was going on or?
well, you could hear the screams. My sisters heard screams from downstairs in the kitchen.
My
And
stomach is in my throat right now from this
It's
because I
horrifying.
just don't think people fully understand inside there what these priestly visits are like. I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up with them in the 90s. We heard in podcast 110 Trent Wasky what he went through. Like, and then here's you. This is only how many years ago? You've only been out 4 years.
4 years. This was around 5 years ago. It was a year before I left.
And what did they say you had done? Like what was such the sin that you had done that warranted this attack?
Well, because they knew I was into men, right? It wasn't a secret. And I presume they just thought I had gotten up to mischief again.
You know what? I don't care about anybody's sexual identity. I don't care about what people do behind it. Treating, sorry, I'm so riled up here right now. I think this is my issue right now with everything. It's just come to a massive head for me. Is if you are not anybody's cup of tea, don't fucking drink it. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you are going to be, I don't care if you're an ex-member or if you are inside there, if you don't agree with LGBTQ community, walk away. That is my word. I'm so tired of getting these emails from everybody having an issue with the LGBTQ community. Dawson is a beautiful human. I don't care what he does. I don't care who he likes. He is a human. We need to start seeing people human to human, soul to soul, no matter what anybody does, because we have people who are committing way worse sins than what LGBTQ community supposedly doing. Right? Like, it's just, I don't understand. I don't get how people can sit in such a judgmental seat and judge people like you, Dawson, like Craig Hoyle, like Joey Green. To me, the most beautiful people I have ever met are from the LGBTQ community. They are not Christian people that I'm meeting coming from a church.
I agree.
Some of the most judgmental people that have landed inside my inbox, ex-members and insiders, are people who call themselves supposed Christians and are the most judgmental people I've ever freaking met. Like, I guess I'm just drawing a line in the sand here, where instead of people hearing, I'm gay, I'm bi, I'm trans, whatever, bypass that and actually sit down and listen to who this person is, because what their identity is and who they are is not up to you to judge. What you need to do is sit heart to heart with someone and actually get to know someone beyond the labels that you are putting them in. Because Dawson, I don't sit there and be like, he's gay. That's new. You're Dawson. Dawson's Dawson. Craig Hoyle is Craig Hoyle. Ben Woodbury is Ben Woodbury. Joey Green is Joey Green. I'm not going to sit there and allow society to use all this terminology and place it on someone for a reason to judge somebody. It is the most cruel thing a human can do to another human. And I think it's time to just absolutely stop this bullshit and realize that suicidality is a real thing. It is an absolute thing that I think people that judge other people do not understand what that person may be going through, what you may be putting them into, because we all are very triggerable from the cult that we were in, right? Our trigger level is up here, whereas maybe someone who hasn't been through what we've been through, their trigger level is a 2 or 3. We walk around with a trigger level of number 10. And so when someone comes in and judges the LGBTQ community, I have had to deal with insiders and ex-members, talk them off of a ledge because of either an insider or an ex-member has come along and decided to throw this bullshit their way. And I think it's time we stop it and actually listen to the story that is behind these people. Absolutely. That's my Cheryl rant. I haven't done one for a while.
No, you're so right, Cheryl. And then, people wonder why a higher percentage of us from the LGBTQ don't want to have anything to do with religion. Because they are the people that come to attack us constantly, day after day. But when those people are your actual parents, your actual mother, who gave you life, and she turns her back on you because of who you love, the gender you love, this shouldn't make a difference. I can't help that. I can't help being attracted to men and not to women. That's not something I chose to do. That's not a decision I made. I've grown up that way, and I knew from a very young age, before I was even 10 years old, that I would never end up with a woman. It was my biggest nightmare.
And see, I think it's even more important when we talk about the LGBTQ members that come out of a cult, because I've had this conversation with someone who just recently left, and it is a stark reminder to those that judge this community that when you're stuck in a cult, you have no idea what gay is. You have no idea what trans is. You have no idea what bi is. You have no idea. All you know that the molds you are being put into does not fit you, and you don't even have the words to it. So I guess this is where I come from, is that you sit back and you look at this big picture of Dawson, like you didn't know at 10 years old, you didn't know what gay meant, what bi meant, you didn't know any of this terminology. You just knew,
yeah,
I can't marry a girl.
Absolutely. And you live your life, you spend years thinking it, you're the only one that is different, because you're so isolated from the outside world. You don't even see that there's people who actually live the way you would like to live. And you end up seeing no other option than to take your life.
It's just so unbelievable to me that people, especially that leave the Brethren, ex-members, you know, I would think that ex-members generally would have gone through some sort of judgment of, the cult to say, okay, I don't want to be part of that anymore, right?
Yeah.
And you would hope beyond all hope that they would also learn to leave that judgment behind. And
Yeah.
yet I find a trend, Cheryl, like you say, with a lot of ex-members, I don't know whether this is politically correct to say this, but there's still a high level of judgment that we all have to really work hard to get rid of, including myself. And having such a beautiful friend like Dawson in my life for nearly 2 years now it's just been nothing but sunshine and fun and light and love. And I mean, how could you not just love each person for who they are? A soul is a soul. And if you actually care about yourself enough to be a good human, none of us are in a position to judge someone else. And it really makes me angry as well, the judgment from ex-members. I find they're ignorant. They don't know what they're talking about, and they just attack.
I think it's super important that we talk about something here. And I'm going to try and do it without bawling my face off, is let's talk about suicidality. I just don't think people understand what a person goes through when they have to walk through a door like that. Like, Dawson, walk us through. Because I know that this is also going to help some insiders, people who've just left, and everybody who struggles with this. Because it's a real thing. This is a massive, massive issue that so many of us struggle with. Right? Like, it is hard when our parents turn our back on us. It is hard when we seek comfort and guidance from other people and then they turn around and stab you. Walk us through, Dawson, what you went through.
Of course. So it was around 3 to 4 months before I actually left. That I was talking to my friend, and she knew I wasn't doing okay, and she was telling me I should go and get help. Go to the doctors, talk to them, they'll give you antidepressants, it will help you. I was like, okay, let's go to the doctors. So I went to the doctors, and they actually told me that the doctor who was talking to me and prescribed me with antidepressants told me that she should be putting me straight into a clinic because of the state I was in. And I remember saying to her, I was like, I can't do that. I have to go to church every day. I can't do that. So she then gave me
You
a
mean like
therapy.
an in-person inpatient treatment where you would stay?
Yeah, exactly. So I was then given a therapy plan to go to therapy. So I went home that weekend and I started my antidepressant. Obviously, there's side effects when you first start this medication. And my mother was noticing that I was, yawning a lot, really tired, feeling nauseous. So I told her, I called her into my room after the SAFA meeting on the Sunday and was like, Mum, I've got this bag of medication. I need to tell you something. Feeling good and really struggling, and I need help. I just need help, and these medications are going to help me. And she told me, I don't want you to take them. It's not how we do this. You build up your relationship with Christ, with God, and all that bullshit, whatever. So I knew I was going to have to do this in secret. I was taking my medication, antidepressants in secret. I was taking medication just normal stuff to help me sleep at night, and was going to therapy on a weekly basis. Of course, she found out that I was going to therapy because she got the invoices from the health insurance. And what happened is, you go to therapy and they don't tell you in therapy, this is what you need to do. You need to leave. They just help you understand that you have options in life. You don't have to stay what you're doing. No, you could be doing this. You could live your life the way you are as a normal human with people around you who accept you for the way you are and show you love and support you in the way you need it. So it took me a long time to really click, though, to be like, okay, well, I need to leave. I thought she was just going to help me, get through this phase and move on. However, a few months later, it was the beginning of December. We were out for supper, and my friend was there who had told me to go to the doctor. My family was there. My brother-in-law and his children were there, and his wife. And it was the first time I'd had a panic attack, and I had this panic attack in front of all these brethren. And I just ran outside. The host came after me. Not even my dad or my mum came after me. The host came after me because I was close to him and asked me what was going on. And I just said, I can't do this anymore. Just can't. I cannot live this life. And, the thought of leaving and having to deal with all that rejection and people who matter the most to you walk away from you and turn their back was just not something I wanted to go through with.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I hear you. I'm going to get your parents. And he walked back inside, and I took that chance and I ran. And a couple of 100 meters away from their house, there was a fast flowing river with the bridge over it. And there was the pedestrian part, and there was the part where the cars drive. And I went in the pedestrian part, and I climbed over the edge of the bridge and sat on the edge of the bridge and just screamed and screamed and screamed. And then I noticed one by one the cars that were the brethren were leaving the house that we'd been at, were driving past, and some of them just didn't stop. And I was like, you can see me. I'm right there. I'm sitting on the edge of the bridge, ready to kill myself.
They literally saw you and drove past.
And drove past. And then my brother-in-law and my sister drove past, and they stopped a couple 100 meters away. And then my family drove past in their bus and all saw me sitting on this bridge, and they stopped on the edge. My dad and my brother-in-law came and pulled me off the edge of the bridge, put me in the car, drove me home, and that was the last time it was ever talked about. We never spoke about it. They never asked me whether I was okay. They never asked me why I was planning to kill myself. There was no question from my own parents on why I wanted to take my life. And that's how sick this whole system is. They're not there to care for you. All they care about is ticking the boxes of leader. Bruce tells them, do this, do this, do this. All they do is check those boxes. Okay, we're doing what's right because he told us to do it. Fucking take care of your children. Why do you bring children into this life? If you're not prepared to stand by them and support them through life, whatever happens, why would you bring children into this life if you're not going to do that?
It's absolutely inhumane, Dawson. It's inhumane that many people drove past and saw you sitting there. And then you were never even cared for after that. Like when you got home, did anybody come and give you a hug or?
The only person who came and looked after me was my mum. She came and lay down next to me in bed. And she just said, what's going on? And I was like, I can't tell you, Mum. And not even being able to tell your own mother the reason why you want to take your own life is the worst feeling ever, because all she's going to do is reject you anyway.
I don't think people understand when you're hurting this bad, what it feels like inside your body, what it feels like to sit with all that betrayal and abandonment, and on top of the trauma you're carrying on top of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, these last few weeks I've been sitting with all this and just trying to understand, how can humans be so mean to other humans? How can people just discard their children like they mean nothing? Like, I think suicidality is one of the most misunderstood subjects that we all shy away from. And instead, we should be having these conversations.
And
Like,
it
we should
is
be.
frightening. It's frightening to talk about it. It's frightening, you know. It could be, you know, Dawson, I like to hope that your mom would have wanted to do something for you, but she knew that it was out of her hands, even if she wanted to, you
But I
know, and
still think, though, that
they still
parents.
should ask.
Yeah, like, this is where
Absolutely.
I'm like,
That's not, I
they
don't mean that's
still.
not an excuse.
Yeah, like, I just think, how does a mainstream Christian church destroy a mother's roar to protect their children? Like, that's where I'm sitting right now. And Dawson, like, for you to sit there and, like, I can only imagine the tumultuous tsunami that was going on inside your body. And it's like this split thing that happens where you're like, I gotta quit going through this torture. And at the other side, the other half of you is screaming for help. So when you saw those cars going by, that was the half of you that was like, someone please help me, rescue me out of this. Yet the other half is like, I can't do this anymore. I simply cannot do this anymore. It takes your breath away in every cell in your body, and you simply don't know how to go forward. You don't know, like, how do you even put a word on what kind of help you're asking for? Because you don't know. You just know that you can't do the torture you're in anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh,
And you've
my
never
heart
been
just
given the
breaks for you.
platform. You've
Yeah.
never been given the platform to say, you know what, this is what I feel, and I don't feel like I can go on in this life, so I know that I have an option. Like, literally, it's because we're not trained in that way. Our brains are not trained to say, if this is hard, we have another option. It's the
Oh.
Brethren and Bruce Hales,
Yeah.
or it's out, off the planet.
And you know, guys, that that was one of 3 attempts, right, that I had. And there was 2 prior attempts. One while I was living away from home with my priest for 3 months out of the 4th story. And then there was a second attempt when I was living back home, and my dad put all the blame on me, everything that went wrong in our family. And then the final attempt, and I was like, you know what? When the next day I woke up after that final attempt, and I was like, these are not the people that I need around me. These are not the people
Yeah.
I need to leave. Otherwise, I will die. I will end up dead.
Yeah.
And then, then I left. And my dad had the nerve to send me an email and tell me I'd be better off dead than out in that world committing sin. After you've seen everything I'd been through, you have the nerve to come and tell me I'm better off dead? After all the work, after all I've been through, how dare you? How fucking dare you talk to me like that? I'm your son. And I'm sorry, but these people are not Christians. They're evil. That's evilness.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And they
That's not
think
even human.
their majestic great white gate when they enter heaven, and God's going to be like, go through, of course, go through. You didn't support your son. That was great. You did the right thing. Go into heaven. Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah.
And what did you tell me once, Dawson, that your dad said that his wish in life was?
Yeah, his only goal in life, he said his only goal in life was to get all his sons through to the end, which you can help me explain what that means, but basically until the rapture, to get them all through, to keep them in the cult. It's a cult. I'm going to call it a cult until the very end. And he's failed because I've left. And that has ruined his reputation. And I can see, and last time I saw him, I went to the house and I knocked on the door, and he tried to close the door in my face. And the look of anger and sheer disappointment on his face, it's clear as day to me. It's because I've fucking ruined his reputation of one of the heavies.
Good.
It's what he deserves.
Yeah,
I
good.
know all the shit he's done in his life, the way he's treated my mother. Fucking better own up to it.
I want to go back to, you said something about you had to go live with a priest. What was that like? And so let's explain to our listeners and viewers that when you are showing that you're a troubled teen or a troubled person, you get sent away, right? So was this priest in the same locality as you? Where did you get sent to? And how did that go for you?
I actually wasn't sent to this priest. Basically, what happened is because I was doing a lot of school with England, I had to go to England to do my exams. And I was flying alone to England and got sexually abused in the bathroom in the airport. I was drugged in the lounge and then sexually abused in the bathroom. And I went to England, and a few weeks later, I told one of my friends that had happened to me. I was visiting him in England, and after I left his house, my dad and priest called my friend and forced him to tell them everything I told him. So I came back from that trip. I arrived at the airport, and I thought my mum was coming to collect me as we had arranged. And I walk out of the gate, and there was my priest waiting for me. And of course, I was in shock. I was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "Well, we've got things to talk about." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "You know what I'm talking about." And he drove me to this location, to this hut in the woods where my father and two other guys from the locality were waiting for me. And they tried to make me confess to having done such an awful thing. Whereas, like, you haven't even asked me my side of the story. I was sexually abused in that toilet. That was not my fault. That was not me who did that. Yet you're pinning down on me. You want me to apologize for that? Absolutely fucking not. And that was my last straw. I am not going to live with my father in the same house, under the same roof as my dad, if that's the way he's going to treat me. Absolutely fucking not.
Not to mention ambushing you with like, what did you say, 4 adults against you
4 adults.
in the middle of nowhere in a little hut
And
in
I
the
was
woods?
17. I was 17. I was having
Such
to
a power
I was
imbalance.
having to live with the trauma of that abuse myself, let alone trying to be held accountable for it. And I was just like, what? This is not right. Something is wrong. And so I said to my priest, who was he was in his early 30s, and I got on well with him. And he said, well, you can come live with us. So I did. That's it. And my parents told my siblings that I wasn't living at home because, well, this is what my sister told me. She said that we were told you thought you were too cool for us. And I was like, excuse me? And they wouldn't even talk to me. We saw each other every night at meeting, and they wouldn't even talk to me.
Your
If they did,
siblings.
my siblings, if they did talk to me, they were like, you should come home. Why didn't you come home? You're causing so many issues at home. Like, well, how about asking me why I'm not living at home? How about asking me my side of the story?
Did anybody ask you, are you okay after what had happened to you?
No, because the crazy thing is, while I was living at my priest, the one night I had this terrible panic attack. Obviously, there's so much trauma that I was dealing with. And I had this terrible panic attack. I woke up and my body had gone completely stiff. I couldn't move. I was freezing cold. I was shaking. They took me in the car, drove me straight to the hospital, called my parents, said, you need to come to the hospital. They came to the hospital and they were checking what was wrong with me. They're like, okay, everything seems to be okay. And my parents arrived and they came in the room and they didn't say anything. And then I remember my dad going out and talking to the doctors and telling them to do various tests on me because I'd had sex with a man. That's all he could think about, was that I'd had sex with a man, which wasn't even true. Like, I'd been sexually abused. and came back
Wow.
in. And the only thing he said to me on that day when I was in hospital lying on that bed, he came and looked at me lying on bed. He was like, "You're too thin. You're too thin." I was like, "Well, no shit. I actually have a fucking eating disorder right now because I'm dealing with so much shit. And the only thing you can say to me is you're too thin. How about asking
Yeah.
me how I'm? How about taking me in your arms and giving me a hug and
Ugh.
saying you're sorry for what's happened to me?" And I remember my mum sitting next to the hospital bed, holding my hand, and just tears rolling down her face.
Ugh.
And she didn't ask me about anything. And this is something I've had to go through in therapy. This situation I've had to go through it time and time again because it's haunted me. And that the whole process of what would you have liked to happen in that moment? I was like, just someone to give me a fucking hug and tell me it's going to be okay and just hold me and say they're sorry for what's happened
Just
and
show
not
you some
add to my
basic parental
trauma.
compassion, just human compassion, a parent to their child.
But the reason they won't, and I've faced my dad about this because they know I've been sexually abused by members within the cult as well, by my own family members. And they know that, and they've never even spoken to me about that. So, in one sense, it's awful, but the other sense, you can't really expect any different from them because they don't know any different. They're so brainwashed.
It's just hard though because there's just something innate within our parents. Like in a parent, like I'm a mom. I'm Andrea, you're a mom, right? Like there's just nothing, absolutely nothing that would override me to protect my child or me to give my child a hug. Like I did. This is the part that I'm really struggling with right now, is that this is the kind of course of control that exists in there. It's so strong that it prohibits a parent from hugging their child in one of their worst times of their life. Like, I just want everybody to sit there and just listen to what I just said. It prohibits a parent from having this innate reaction and human reaction to comfort their child. This is wrong. This is just so wrong. I wish Lloyd Grimshaw was sitting with us right now because the amount of lies that come out of that man's mouth, I just don't understand how people can sit back and be so numb to the fact of the emotional turbulence that everybody is walking through right now. Whether you've been out 50 years, 60 years, or 2 months. You never, ever get over your parents disowning you. You just don't. I'm 33 years out, and these tears are literally going through and reliving all of that all over again. Like,
It's like
I don't
somebody
know.
like Lloyd Grimshaw, though, I'm sure there honestly has to be a piece missing upstairs because that a person like that has got to be in denial and numb to basic human feelings, honestly. Otherwise, how do you explain that?
Not
How
just
do you
Lloyd,
explain our
Robots.
parents? How do you explain?
Bruce Hales as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he's one of the
They're,
minions. Lloyd is one of Bruce's minions. He's the puppet master,
yeah.
How
numbing everybody's feelings.
Absolutely. And how the fuck does Bruce Hales go to bed at night and is able to sleep knowing of all the terrible things that are happening to people because of him and his rules? Every decision he make, it impacts so many lives, and he's okay with that. He's okay with families being torn apart.
And he could change it all with the whisk of a finger.
Yeah.
Literally,
And everybody would do
literally,
exactly what he said.
Robots of the devil.
And you
absolutely.
know
Oh,
what? I just want to put a point in there is, I sometimes think, Dawson's parents are probably as he said, his dad is embarrassed that he left because, oh, now he's not going to get all his children's to the end in the rapture. Well, do you know what? You've got one son in freedom, and that makes up for all the rest in the cult, because at least one of them is living authentically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you know
And
what? It goes back to their scriptural principles of like, you know, the one sheep that ran away. And
yeah,
right? Well, I have to say, I was the one sheep from my family. No one came after me. Dawson, you're the
Yep.
one sheep after your family. No one came after you. And like, I guess it's the cherry picking of their scriptural preferences and then not listening to what really needs to happen here. I still firmly believe, and I agree with you, Andrew, this can be dealt with so easily if they were
Yeah.
to lay their freaking egotistical, devilish attitudes to the side and ask what really needs to happen here. What does Dawson need? What does Cheryl need?
Yep.
What does Andrea need? Right?
And going
If
back
they
to scriptures, if you want to talk scriptures, okay, I don't know much of the Bible, but in the Bible, their Bible, it says, let him who is without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah.
You know, think of that priest jumping on Dawson on his bed. I know him personally, and he is definitely not guilt-free.
No,
I,
no,
I
no,
saw
no,
him
he's not.
recently. I saw him recently in the city, and I was walking past him, and I saw him, and he glanced over at me and glanced away and just carried on walking. And I was like, "Hey!" But there was no way he was coming to talk to me.
So let's go. Let's fast forward this to when you finally got to leave. Like, how did you leave? How did you get out?
So I was planning to leave with my therapist. I was asking her to help me plan, and the plan was to leave at the beginning of February 2022 because I was quite involved in my role at work, and my older brother was my boss, and I wanted to leave on good terms. I didn't want to leave a big mess. I wanted to do things properly, so I handed in my notice at work, which was a crazy thing to do in such a small locality, right? Because you can only work within
Yeah.
the community. And everyone was like, "What? Why did you hand in your notice? Where are you going to work? What are you going to do?" I was like, "That's my business."
It's practically illegal to do that.
Yeah, that's my business. I might take some time off. I might just spend a few months not working. And so it was very suspicious. And 1 month, I had 2 months notice. So I had 2 months to leave. And just after Christmas, it was the 29th of December 2021, I was at work during the working holidays because I had so much to do. And my brother says to me, he's like, I need you to help me with something in the warehouse. Can we drive to the warehouse? I was like, sure. So we drove over, and on the way, he was like, "What's wrong with you? What's going on?" He didn't even drive me to the warehouse. He just wanted to have a chat. He just wanted to have a chat with me somewhere where I couldn't walk away.
Yeah.
So I was like, what's going on? And he was crying out, and I was just staying silent, not saying anything. And he kept praying out loud. And of course, I was sniggering away in the corner because like, this is pathetic. And then at one point, he popped the question. He was like, "Are you planning to leave?" And I just said, "Maybe, maybe." And then he obviously broke into tears and was crying out to the Lord to save me and all this rubbish. And then took me back to the office and left. And a few minutes later, his wife started texting me all this, going on an absolute rant. How could I dare to do that? She was just about to have a baby. Like in the next 3 days, she had her child, and she was like, "Do you not care about us? And how could you possibly do this to your family?" And blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, her own husband had basically made me had a burnout at work because he'd given me so much work to do. And I found out afterwards they would replace me with like 2 other employees for a shit wage, may I tell you, 2,500 a month for doing like 2 to 3 people's full-time jobs, and of which I wasn't even qualified to do. Whatever, another story.
Yeah, but as
Um,
if you're going to just, oh yeah, I'm going to maybe leave the brethren just to make your wife uncomfortable when she's going to have a baby. Like
oh,
it's never about what does the person who's crying out for help need.
absolutely.
They
And
to always turn it around and make it about themselves. And what does
exactly.
it look like?
How about asking, why do you want to leave? What's
Yeah.
for you to leave? Anyway, so I knew once my brother had asked me that question whether I wanted to leave, I knew I had to act quickly because if shit's going to go down, right? He's going to tell my parents. They're going to put clamps on me. So they're going to make it really difficult. The following day, we were supposed to meet up with a family from Rome halfway in the mountains, which is like a 9-hour drive. So they were driving halfway to meet up. And I was supposed to go with. And I noticed my parents the evening before were in their office with the door closed and, we're having these little whispery conversations. I was like, okay, well, they know, they've been told. So I need to act quick. And so that evening I booked a hotel for the following day for a week and told them I couldn't go with on the trip because I was so overloaded with work. And it was a huge discussion, big fight. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't come. I've got so much work to do. I'm under so much pressure. I can't come. So the next day they did leave without me. And to this day, my mum has told me since then that was the worst. Like that's her biggest regret is having left me at home because she had a feeling, right? And I went to work that morning, which good thing I did because my brother came to check on me whether I really was at work. Once he'd left, I wrote down everything I needed to leave and wrote a long letter to my family explaining why I'd left with a paragraph for each of my siblings, which, by the way, to my siblings, if you're watching this, go and ask my parents for that letter because I know they haven't given it to any of you to read.
Do you have a copy of it?
I do.
Let's go ahead. We'll read out that letter right now.
Dear Mum and Dad, Christy, Roscoe, Xander, and Romeo. I don't know how to begin this letter, so I'll start by saying I am very, very sorry. Sorry for the pain I'm causing you all right now. Sorry for the mess I'm creating. Sorry for the tears I've caused. I'm sorry for everything. However, I'm also sorry for myself. I've been feeling all the pain you are now feeling for weeks, months, years now. I have known at some point in my life I would have to say goodbye to you all. Over the past few months, I have gradually been forced to face reality, and that I needed to make the next step in my life before the next step was made for me. Silently, I've been killing myself. For those of you that don't know this yet, I was diagnosed with depression in October this year. Over the past few weeks, I've been helped to understand that the depression is an illness which is triggered by different things which come up in life. It is not something I had control over. It is not something I ever wanted to face up to. And it's not something I can switch off. But it is something I can overcome if I face all the reasons why it was triggered and come to terms with them. And this is the main reason I've had to choose to say goodbye to you all, to the rest of the family, to all my friends and all the brethren. I've been hiding myself from you all for my whole life. The real Dawson is not someone you have ever met, and as weird as it may sound, it's the truth. I am, and always have been, homosexual, gay. I have known this since I was a very small child. In fact, before we even moved away from England, I knew there was something different about me from all the other boys. And as I grew up, it became more and more painful to stop myself from thinking that way. Some of you may also have known this deep down. I've cried to the Lord for help many, many times in my life, pleading for him to stop those thoughts and feelings I had. But they never went away. And I'm tired and exhausted of hiding and pretending to be someone I'm not. I don't have the strength or will to carry on like I have. But as we all know, who I have just come out as is not someone who would ever be accepted amongst the brethren. So I've always known that I would have to leave at some point. Please, 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 don't try and say that this is rubbish. I'm writing this from the bottom of my heart and because I want you all to finally know the truth. I know there are many more amongst the brethren like myself, and know that some have spoken about it to Mr. Hales. It isn't something you can just ignore or get over. So this has been the main reason that my depression was triggered. Many times I have wanted to take my own life, as I didn't want to have to face facts and cause pain. But either way, I will cause pain. Just a few words for each of you. To my dear Mum, I love you with all my heart, and you will always be a part of my life. Thank you for all you have done for me, and I'm sorry for all the pain I have caused you. Stay strong and keep going. You're an amazing person. I am so, so proud of you. Look at the journey you have come on. Look at who you've become. Thank God that you are here. Love you lots. Dear Dad, thank you for all you have done for me. I have always appreciated everything you have done for me, but have also found it tough to be close to you because I feared you could tell what was wrong. Look after Mum and the rest of the family and keep them happy. Love you lots. Dear Christy, thank you for being such a support to our family. Thank you for always helping keep the peace and keeping everyone happy. Keep it up. The Lord will bless you a lot, and thank you for being close to me and helping me through some tough times. Love you lots. Dear Roscoe, firstly, I'm sorry for not being closer to you and spending more time with you. I love you a lot and have always admired you excelling at everything in life. Keep it up because you are doing amazing at work and also ABM. I'm positive you will do absolutely brilliantly. I will miss you a lot. Don't give up and become the best version of you possible. You can achieve amazing results. Love you lots, and you'll always be my little brother. Dear Xander, you're one of the funniest persons I have ever come across, and I have always felt we had a strong connection. Thank you for brightening up the darkest days and being the shining light in our family. You always had a fitting joke for every situation. Keep up the good work in Dad's business. It's amazing what you're doing. You also have a mastermind and can achieve amazing things. Love you lots. And dear Romeo, you also are an amazing little brother. I have really enjoyed spending time with you recently with the animals, etc. Make sure you look after them and keep making money. Keep doing well at school and keep up on the marvelous creations. I love you lots. There is so much more I would like to say to you all. I will miss you all very, very much, but you will always be in my heart, whatever happens. If you want to contact me, here is my email address. I'd really appreciate it if you would accept me for who I am and still be close to me. There are no hard feelings involved. Love you all lots, Dawson.
And went home, packed my 3 boxes, 3 suitcases of the stuff, and you know, obviously it's a hard decision to know what to take with you because I just had a little car that I had to fit everything in. Packed it as quick as I could and drove away. Drove out to the hotel in the middle of the city. And as I was driving to the hotel, I had other family members, my married brothers and sisters who didn't go on the trip, text me, "What are you doing tonight? Do you want to come over?" And I was texting them. Oh, I'm going to this person's house for supper tonight. It's already arranged. And then they obviously texted them, "Are you having Dawson tonight?" And they were like, "No, we invited him. He told us he's going to yours." I didn't play that game very. I didn't play that game great, but
Oops.
I was on my way. I was nearly at the hotel when those messages started coming in. Like, "What are you doing? You said you're going here, but you're not. What's happening? Your car's not in the driveway." They'd gone and checked whether I was at home, and my car had gone.
Isn't it so annoying having so many siblings sometimes?
Yeah. Might I just say for everyone on this podcast listening, I have got 9 siblings, so I come from a very big family.
And even when you were leaving Dawson, you were being thoughtful to your siblings and leaving the little gifts in their room and
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Aww.
I'm not a
You're
cold-hearted
so
person.
thoughtful.
I didn't do this in spite of my family. I didn't do this in spite of my siblings. I did this for myself, for my own survival. And that's what they don't understand. They think I hate them. They've been told I'm evil and all this shit. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for you. Why the fuck would I spend my time on doing all this just to get revenge at you guys? I'm doing this for me. That's what they don't understand.
And as one of your closest friends, you always talk about your siblings with so much love and affection.
Oh, absolutely. And they've all got children now, and since I've left, there's been 5 more nephews and nieces. One of which was born last week. No, born 4 weeks ago, but I heard last week through someone else who sent me pictures. They had never told me that my sisters had never told me that they were pregnant or that they'd had children. Oh, well, what they could do was just after I left, one of my sisters had a miscarriage and she blamed it on me and all the stress that I'd added to their lives. But so she can blame a miscarriage on me, but she can't tell me that she's had a fucking baby.
Did she actually tell you that it was your fault?
Not in those actual words, but in the email, it's basically saying that this has happened because of all the, that we're all under so much stress and blah, blah, blah. So read between the
Stress from
lines.
you leaving, like stress from you
Yeah.
leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's insinuating it against you, and that's
Yeah.
that's absolutely not fair, and that's absolutely not her job, her place to be able to do that. That's
But I want to
insane.
go
Just
back to the day I left, and I got into that hotel and I left my stuff there and took my car back to work, which was a company car, and got back on the train and went back to the city. And I changed my phone. So I took one of the SIM cards out of the phone that was the Brethren phone and had it all set up ready with my new SIM card with my new number into my new phone. So they had no way of contacting me. They had no
Good.
idea.
Yeah.
a really smart move.
Yeah. And I can, to anyone who wants to leave, you have to make a clean break. You cannot.
Yeah.
It's impossible to have this back and forth relationship because it's so painful to go through that. And that's something I didn't want to put my siblings through, my younger brothers. I didn't want them to go through the whole event of me leaving, like I didn't want them to see me walking out with my bags. That's going to be so traumatizing for them to see that back and forth and not having a clean cut. And I know it's awful. And that's an awful thing to have happen to you, your brother disappearing. And I feel terrible about doing that to them.
Well, and sometimes I wonder, the ones we leave behind, right? There's also pain for them. But
Absolutely.
we don't cling on to them because we don't want to cause them the pain over and over.
Exactly. And that was my point. I didn't want that.
Yeah.
I didn't want them to have to go through so much pain.
But it doesn't mean that we don't want them to reach out if they ever need
Absolutely
anything.
not.
It doesn't,
Absolutely.
we miss them every day, but it sometimes I think we all would wish that one of our siblings would reach out just in a normal way.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
And yet I'm sure that they think they can't because they're like, oh, it's the big bad evil people that leave the church, like, oh, Dawson must not care, he walked off. Absolutely not. Like, it makes me
Yeah,
so angry that they put these labels on us when you leave, and they tell the rest of our families how awful and evil and terrible we are. And I recently found out that my mom interpreted our leaving letter quite differently to how we actually intended it to be read, and so she probably influenced all my siblings, and that's why none of them have reached out.
yeah. And it's the same
You
with
know?
mine. It's the
Yeah,
same with
yeah.
they paint this
So
picture of me that's not true.
exactly. How did it go after obviously you got out? How did your parents respond to you leaving? Did you ever hear from them again? Did you have yeah.
The only way they could contact me was per email, right? So I didn't look at my inbox for the first 2 weeks. When I
Good.
did, it
Yeah.
was just flooded with emails from all kinds of people that I used to be friends with, family members, my parents, priests from different localities, older men who I'd never spoken to in my entire life that suddenly sent me these emails of why had I left and blah, blah, blah. And I have to say, from in comparison to what I've heard from other people, for example, the way like how your family didn't reach out to you, Andrea, my family really tried. They sent not all of them, but most of them sent me a lot of messages, and they really tried to get me to go back or to keep up the contact. But for those first few weeks, I knew I couldn't. I physically couldn't respond to their emails because what do you say? What do you say to them? I'm not coming back. And I did respond to a few of them saying that this is it. I'm sorry. I cannot do this. I'm not coming back.
Well, and you
They
need
did try.
time. You need time. You're going through the stages of grieving after you leave. You just
Yeah.
need
But
time to sort your
exactly.
head out
The
and
thing
and
is,
rest.
you don't get given that time. They did
No.
that for a month or two, and after that, that was it. Maybe once or twice did I get an email after that from some of them, but you get confined because once you have sexual intercourse with someone, it's
Yeah.
you're confined, and that's when they're not allowed to talk to you anymore. So after I'd
Yep.
had those few weeks and months of stabilizing myself and getting the energy to actually to respond to them, it was just too late. They weren't allowed to talk to me anymore.
Were you already confined then, or when did that happen?
I was confined very quickly.
Really? Okay.
think within the first 3 or 4 weeks, because I remember I found this apartment, shared apartment, not 2 villages away from my parents, and there was always brethren parking up outside and my priests and whatnot, watching me outside my own home. And then one night I was going off to meet some friends in the city and was walking towards the station, and suddenly there was my mum behind me. And all she wanted to know was whether I'd been having sex and whether it was with multiple people. And I'm like, well, Mum, I'm out of the cult. I'm living my life. Of course I've had sex. Weren't allowed to do that. I'm 22 years old. Of course I've had sex. And for her it was such a horrifying thing. And she's like, are you okay? And she was really worried about me as Mum. It's just the normalest thing ever. Like, stop making a big deal of it. And then I got to the station, and then suddenly my dad appeared, and they had been sent a message from Bruce Hales from Sydney to get me over to Sydney as soon as possible. And they were like, they're all really excited and happy about it. Like, you've been invited to Sydney. And I was like, I don't care. I do not give a shit. I don't care. He means
Don't you want to go
nothing.
schmooze with Brucey? Come on.
Yeah, let's go and have a tea party with Brucey.
Party
Well, it's
time.
not going to be tea, but yeah.
More like whiskey party.
Do isn't it insane how that is one of their biggest questions they have when you leave? But yet, how many pedophiles are they hiding in there?
Absolutely.
I just don't get it. I
Absolutely
don't get
disgusting.
their understanding that 2 Timothy 2 only plays to them if they want to play for them. I just don't get it. I just do not understand. So, Bruce, I want a conversation with you. We want a conversation with you. And it's not, I don't want to sit and fight with you. I just want to understand the concepts you have that are very hard for us to wrap our head around. Because it seems to be the only way you guys listen is when we come on here and put things in black and white and we have to record and air it. But we don't have to do this. Do you know, I said, this is one of the things that I can't wrap my head around, is that had my sister answered my email, and I never waited 3 months for her to respond to me, none of these podcasts would have happened. A police report wouldn't have happened. None of this exposure and this movement would have never started the way that it started had we been listened to. So again, I just plead with you, Bruce. I plead with everybody. I plead with everybody who's been in Andrea's life, Dawson's life, and every ex-member that's been on here. We just want a conversation. Help us understand some of the double standards you have. Help us understand with compassion and not with judgment how you come to the decisions that you come to. So let's go back to the priestly visit side of things and the priest side of things, because this is really where they take our self-esteem down and they really try and get you to submit to their authority. So after you left, like, were you hounded by priests? Like, what happened? Did they contact you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they kept sending me emails, just trying to rope me into going back, or trying to get me to tell them whether I was interested in coming back or what my position was in life, kind of thing. And I was just like, well, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? I'm not interested in coming back. There's absolutely no way. And they kept on trying with these emails. And
let's read out. We'll read. Do you want to read out some of those emails?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can read out the one that I got when I was confined. So I've got an email that I received on the 5th of April 2022. So that's 4 months after I left. I was confined. And it reads, "Dear Dawson, please see attached the letter from Reto and me. This matter was brought to the assembly in Zurich tonight. As mentioned, we would have much rather spoken to you face to face about this. With much love, Roland." Because I told them I wasn't prepared to meet them and to talk about it.
Yeah, smart. Yeah.
So the letter reads, "Dear Dawson, for 3 months now, but sadly without success, we have been asking and trying to speak with you about your matters and your decision as to leaving your parents' house as well as the brethren. You have been all this time now in the company of non-community persons out in this world, and we have to inform you that for the protection of the assembly, we had to pronounce you to be confined and mark your current course of defection. Rato and myself are seeking to carry your matter in a priestly way, and we will always be available anytime to gladly speak with you. Of course, your parents are also there to speak to you and provide care if you call out in need. As you know, being confined, shut up, doesn't mean that you're out of fellowship, and we are praying fervently that you may not lose your way completely, but may come to a right conviction to return to the circle of the saints, where you are loved and fully provided and cared for. The Lord is able to heal and forgive and settle every condition. With love in him, Rato Roland.
Really, except for they failed to meet every single thing that you needed while you were in their loving arms of their community.
Exactly. Fully provided and cared for, they said.
Really? Yeah, lots of hot air, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
Have you seen how I've been provided and cared for since I have left the PBCC? 1,000 times better than you could ever. The love and support from my friends in my new world, fucking beyond words. I couldn't be prouder of the people I have around me. They take me for who I am. They love and support me for the way I am.
And that's what real friends do. Blood or not, family or not, real friends take you. They don't even look at what your facial features are, what gender you are, what you believe in, or what you eat or don't eat, or where you live, or what language you speak. They love you for your soul.
Exactly.
And you're not going to get that in the PBCC. They love you in the PBCC if you dance on their puppet strings just the way they do.
Yeah.
And they think that they have that. And my mum, because I told my mum, I'm loved and cared for more by my friends, and this hurts me to say, but also more by my friends than ever from my family. And she was like, I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, because they can't wrap their head around it, can
they? They don't understand it.
Exactly.
And let's read out the email that you received from your priest, pretty much threatening you of withdrawal for not responding to them.
Hello, Dawson. As you would know, we are very grieved as to your decision to leave your parents' house and the brethren. You have written several messages to your parents, but Rita and myself, who also carry the matter in a priestly way before the assembly, have never received any response from you regarding your position since we had to confine you for the protection of the assembly. We have made several requests to speak to you. The very last thing we want to do is to withdraw from you from the fellowship, unless we are forced to because of the course you seem to be determined to carry on in, and the basis of Scripture, which is the Word of God, and therefore want to urgently plead with you to be prepared to have a meeting with us so we can discuss and determine your current position. If you're not prepared to speak to us, please do not just continue on without responding, but let us know this and give us a written report as to where you stand and are minded to go. We love you, Dawson, as we always did, and fear you may not at all realize the seriousness of what it really means before our Lord Jesus Christ to leave the fellowship and the current urgency of the time. Looking forward to your soon response. Kind regards, Roland Ertica and Rita Ertica.
Yeah. You know what? We won't break bread with Dawson, who is a beautiful soul, but we'll break bread with a pedophile.
Yes.
That's their standard of care and compassion.
And that's what they're going to have to answer for when they get out to their big pearly white gates or wherever they think they're going.
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't you give the listeners and viewers like a little bit of a glimpse into how your life has been since then? And that's like, what, 3-4 years ago now?
Yeah, nearly 4.
Yeah, let's get to the happy stuff.
Yeah, where do we start now?
I can't, every time people ask me that question, I can't help but feel this warmth and happiness inside me. It's of course it's been tough. It's been real hard, with everything I've had to leave behind, but I have so many opportunities in life. There's so many things I can do now, and I can just live my life the way I am with the people I want and do what the fuck I want. And not have to worry about someone checking my back every 5 minutes of the day.
It
And
feels so
stuff.
liberating, hey?
Absolutely, I'm traveling the world, and you do these things, and you're like, what the fuck? Why are they not allowed to travel the world? It's not evil. This is apparently God's creation. Why aren't they allowed to see it? And just things like that, or a singing career. Like, I write my own music and write my own songs about my experiences in life. I'm like, what is so evil about that? Why is it evil to sing to an audience?
And
And
where have you traveled in some of you said you've been traveling the world. Tell the viewers and
yeah,
listeners some of the places where you've been.
I've been to Greece twice. I've been to Thailand. I have been to Los Angeles, and there's somewhere else I'm forgetting.
Jerusalem, you told me yesterday.
Jerusalem, yes. Israel and Jerusalem.
Wow.
Italy,
Italy, like all that.
France.
Obviously, there's France, Italy, England, Ireland, Scotland. Oh, the list goes on. But those are like places I used to go to anyway within the cult. But the bigger places like in Thailand and Israel and stuff. But
Yeah, let's talk about your singing career because it has
sure.
just taken off, right? Like, man, it's just in the songs you write, Dawson, are so, oh, you feel them to the core of your body.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. And I've always had this big dream of being a singer and stuff, but I never really thought it was ever going to happen. And so one day I was just like, you know what? I've got all these demos, and why not? Let's just throw one out there. And I did it. And it didn't even take a couple of weeks before I was booked for my first festival performance, which I didn't book, just saying they approached me to have me perform as an opening for quite a big artist. And I think that was the first time in since leaving the Peeps where I came off stage, and there was these news, like people from the TV, from the news, were there with cameras, and they were like asking me these questions and stuff. And I went into the bathroom and locked the door, and just looked in the mirror and just bawled. And
Aw.
it was just this sense of having achieved something for myself. It was such a reward going out on that stage and seeing all the faces of all the people that love and care about me and support me, cheering me on. I remember Andrea seeing you out there, and oh, it was amazing, and actually supporting me for who I am and what I wanted to do in life.
I couldn't even sing because I just wanted to scream and cry. It was amazing just watching you up there and knowing. Like I did have a moment where I was like, he's left a call. Look at him. He's killing
Yeah,
it. He's on the stage singing live and dancing and like I can't believe this. It was so cool. I was
yeah,
so
And like,
proud of you.
how inspiring is it for you to be able to turn your pain into music and to purpose and to use your voice? I think that's one of the biggest thing as us ex members, when we finally get that courage that says, okay, let's talk. Let's use our voice. What does our
yeah.
voice want to say? Because it was so stifled for so many years. Like, what was that moment realizing, like, holy cow, I'm really turning my pain into purpose?
Oh, it was such a great feeling. And like it's not something that's happened recently. I've been writing songs since I was 13, and
Mm.
and I remember my mum finding my diary that I'd written all these songs about, one not feeling good in the Brethren and all this shit, but being able to turn the pain into songs is so therapeutic, and it feels so good. And you know what? No one can take that gift away from you of
Yeah.
having your voice. And that's just the best thing. Just they can take whatever they want from me, but they cannot take my voice.
Mm. Ah, that's
And
so
being able to
powerful.
use that so creatively and the way you want, and to expose what you want and whatever you want, it's great. It's really great.
Music
And I will add to that, I have been working very hard this past year and year and a half on myself and on new music, and there is a lot to come.
Music is such a healing force. It's just so incredible. Music really does heal the soul.
It does.
Yeah.
And I've heard some of his unreleased songs, and I'm like bawling, and I'm like, what the hell? Why are you not releasing these like yesterday? And he's like, oh, do you think anyone's gonna like them? I'm like, they are so raw and so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's what I love about you, Dawson, is your authenticity and the way that you can just sit down and open up a conversation about any subject and you don't shy away from it. That's what we need in this world. We need more people open-minded and that capacity to be able to sit down and have these conversations, these tough conversations that we all need to have, but yet you got it wrapped up in this beautiful soul that just is, oh, the songs that you have put out, when I say like it just goes through your body, it's just so healing, absolutely so healing.
No, that's so nice to hear. Thank you for that, Cheryl.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things that we all find with those that have recently left is the amount of alcohol that was consumed in there and the alcoholism. Did you come across, like, what was alcohol, your relationship with alcohol like in there, or your family's relationship with alcohol? What was that like, and what did you witness while you were in there?
Huge question. I don't know how to answer it correctly, but it's always been a part of our life, of my life in the PBCC. From a very young child until the day I left, it, especially in our family, my mother was an alcoholic, and she didn't receive the help she should have received. So growing up, that's what we had to deal with. And with the views on alcohol that they have, she didn't have the help and support that she needed in those moments. It nearly ended tragically. We came home from school one day and from work, and she had disappeared. We had no idea where she was, and we spent hours until the early morning of the next day calling around hospitals and stuff to try and find out where she was. And it turned out she'd been admitted to hospital with 7 internal bleedings from drinking. And she'd been bleeding for 2 weeks prior to that, and she didn't feel like she could reach out, or she obviously didn't feel like she could reach out to someone about it, because she told me this since, that she was possessed by a demon. Her alcoholism was a demon. I'm like, Mum, no, alcoholism is an illness. It's an actual illness. It's an addiction, and it's not just this demon you have in your head, And she ended. This was during COVID as well. This was the same year as I left. She was flown into an ICU unit, and she was in there for a couple of days, I think 2 weeks. And obviously, it was very limited to who could visit. And I went to visit her, and we had a very deep conversation about alcoholism and everything. And I remember her saying to me, it's not normal how much is consumed within the Brethren. It's not normal. I'm very worried about it, and we're very worried about you young people drinking such hard liquor. And obviously I was frightened from seeing what happened and nearly losing my mum, that I vowed and declared to her that I was never again going to drink the way I used to drink. But having said that, the day she came home out of ICU, the evening she came home, we were invited out for supper, and she was told that she couldn't have another drop of alcohol, otherwise she would probably die, right? And we come home, we pick her up from the ICU, take her home, and we're invited straight out to tea to this family within the Brethren, and all there was alcohol everywhere. And I remember we came on the way home, and my dad was quite drunk. reeking of alcohol. And she had to go to bed with her husband who reeked of whiskey. I feel so sorry for her. My heart aches for my mum. After all she's been through with raising 10 kids and not having the support and love from her husband that she deserves, and the platform she deserves as such an incredible, strong, powerful woman, has been through so much in her life, and all she's allowed to do is sit on the back row in some fancy meeting. It just aches my heart, and it's awful.
And you think,
really
how much that she would have been through to feel like she had to turn to drink to just relieve her pain. I mean, I am not saying I know why she did it. I'm just feeling with her, as a mom and having been in the Brethren as a mom. And there's so many pressures. And your mom, you guys moved from England when you were 5, you said, and she had to do that with young children into another country with another language. And the pressure on these moms. I mean, your poor mom, she must just felt so burdened and weighed down.
Oh,
And it,
absolutely. And moving out and living on my own, you realize how hard it actually is to keep house, and that's just for yourself, right? And let alone for 11 other people.
yeah.
And she did that all on her own. And if Mum, if you're listening to this, I can't say enough how proud I am of you for how far you've come all on your own. And you deserve better than to be treated like absolute shit from a bunch of men who think they know better. And to my siblings, if you're listening to this, please look after Mum for me, because I wish I could. And it was the hardest thing leaving that year after. And she came home, and everyone's still drinking around her, and it was my little project to go and buy these special juices and special drinks that had no alcohol, and made her these mocktails every evening while everyone else was drinking alcohol. She'd always come to me, she's like, Dawson, can you make me your special drink again? And to have to turn my back on her and walk away, I'm so sorry.
it's a pain that you can never recover from. And I'm sure that she thinks about you and loves and misses you every day.
And I knew she was one of the only people she had, that really understood her and saw her and didn't judge her for who she was and what she'd done.
Alcohol really, really is their cancer inside there.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
it's the substance that keeps them all numb. It's the
Yeah.
substance that gets them dealing with what they're dealing with, but it's also the substance that kills them.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see all of these fellowship meetings going on and the thousands and thousands of dollars that is spent on alcohol that's provided for them. It's so heart-wrenching. It's just heart-wrenching. Like I don't drink at all. I haven't drank in probably 25 years. And we just don't have it in the house. It is not even in the house. And nobody else drinks in the house because they know I don't drink. Right? Like it's just one of those things that I don't have around me
You have
because
respect.
Yeah. Your family
You
has
have
respect for
respect.
you, Cheryl.
yeah.
And that should be the norm. That should be
Yeah.
normal to do.
Yeah. It takes me back to that AA group chat that the Brethren had inside there, all the women had, and it was the support channel that was shut down by Bruce Hales. And it's where the women were getting their support from. It was it was worldwide chat. And you'll see on your screen right now, I'll put it up here. And this is the chat that they had at this
But you
time.
know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of that whoever found out about that chat and told Bruce Hales thought, the women are becoming wise. They're banding together. They
Yeah.
don't want
Yeah,
alcohol. They don't want to be numb.
Yeah.
They're going to realize that their men are numbing themselves, and then we're going to have an uproar. Quick, shut
And
it down.
to call it a fellowship within a fellowship is ridiculous, right? No, this is what people supporting other people looks like, Bruce. You can't recognize it because you don't know how to do it.
And he's insecure. He wants his
Yeah.
fellowship to be the only one, the Brucey one.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Dawson, what a pleasure it's been having you on here. You're such a ray of sunshine. In amongst everything that you've gone through, right? Like, kudos to you. It takes such strength, such resilience that sometimes I don't even know where our resilience comes from, right? We pull it from the bottom of the well and we bring it up, and we just learn how to keep trudging through. So my heart literally goes out to you, and I know our struggles are never done. We're always being met with the loss of our family, the loss of our parents. I think it is in using your voice the way you use your voice today, in using your voice for your singing, is a way to bring healing, not only to yourself, but you're gifting that to every ex-member that has left. So thank you. Thank you for using your voice and creativity to create the songs that you create. So we're going to end this podcast with a collage, a montage of Dawson's travels with one of his songs that he recorded himself. So here's that. And thank you to everyone. Thank you, Dawson.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrea. Much love to everyone while we traverse these rocky, rocky waters right now inside the PBCC and outside. Take care. Love to you all. And make sure to stay tuned to the very end where Dawson performs one of my favorite songs of his called Guilt Trippin'.
You don't know how hard it's been, moving on from everything, losing the feeling of your skin, to realize we had a good thing. But now you're back saying you were wrong. A broken heart, or you feel alone. You're hurting so bad and you feel like a life without me, it's a tough fight. But honey, you turn your back on me and that hurts so bad. And I don't wanna love someone who would do that, 'cause I have been moving on, finding love in where I belong. I've gotten so used to the feeling, allowing my heart to find healing. All along I should have known that your heart had never grown. It was so good while it lasted, but it wasn't me who left you stranded. So take a look at your damage done. Do you think I deserve someone who will shred my life into pieces and come back wanting my kisses? 'Cause I don't think you realize what I've been through. Oh, it made me wise, not losing somebody for the first time. I specialize in the dirty crimes. So go and leave my heart alone, 'cause it ain't yours. And I don't need you begging for me on no force, 'cause I've been moving on, finding love in where I belong. I've gotten so used to the feeling, allowing my heart to find healing. All along I should have known that your heart I'd never own. It was so good while it lasted, but it wasn't me who left you stranded. My heart alone, 'cause it's not yours to own. You broke up with me and it's perfect, but it wasn't me who left you stranded. I've been moving on, finding love and where I belong. I've gotten so used to the feeling, allowing my heart to find healing. All along I should have known that your heart I'd never wrong. It was so good while it lasted, but it wasn't me who left you stranded.
City Pride, how are we feeling? Yeah! That's what we like to hear. So, my first song was a reminder to each and everyone here tonight to love yourself the way you are. Put yourself first in all moments in your life. Now my next song is a song I wrote about some people that were very close to me in my life and didn't accept the new me when I came out. And they continuously, to this day, try and guilt trip me back into being someone I'm not. And this is again a reminder to everyone here tonight, don't let yourself be guilt tripped into something you're not. Here's guilt trip.
Did you really think that I'd be blinded by your words, by your words? Presenting your power and worth and trying to trick on my nerve, trick on my nerve. Buying my brother's house
How can you support Get a Life podcast? You can donate internationally via PayPal at www.paypal.me/getalifepodcast. Or you can scan the QR code on your screen that takes you to our GoFundMe. Every donation helps keep this project alive. If you are in a high-demand religious group and need help, please go to oliveleaf.network. To share your story or be a guest on the show, email info.getalife@proton.me. You can find all our Get a Life merchandise on our website at www.getalife.net. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to Get a Life, and comment.